Jinho Park pressed his face against the viewing window of the transport shuttle and watched Rimwood Station grow larger in the distance. The old orbital platform looked like a piece of junk floating in space. All rust-colored metal and flickering lights. It was the kind of place where people went when they had nowhere else to go. Jinho knew that feeling well. He checked his credit chip for the 10th time that hour. The balance made him wince. Barely enough for food for 2 weeks. Let alone the towing fees if he actually won something at today's auction. But he had to try. His ship scrapping business was dying, and he needed inventory. Old alien tech, broken shuttles, anything he could fix up and sell. That's how he survived. The shuttle docked with a violent shudder that rattled Jinho's teeth. He grabbed his worn backpack and headed into the station. The air smelled like oil and recycled sweat. People pushed past him, mostly aliens with strange faces and stranger smells. A few humans nodded at him. There weren't many of their kind out this far from Earth's colonies. The auction hall was in the lower levels of the station. Jinho had been here before, 3 or 4 times over the years. Usually the place was packed with dealers, all of them shouting and waving their credit chips. Today, when he walked through the doors, he stopped dead. The hall was empty. Well, not completely empty. 3 other people sat in the rows of seats, spread out like they didn't want to be near each other. Jinho recognized one of them, a Trilaxian dealer named Vorik who sold engine parts. The other 2 were strangers. Jinho, a voice called from the side entrance. Hyun jogged over, his engineering coveralls stained with grease. He was Jinho's oldest friend, though they hadn't known each other that long. 5 years in space made you close to people fast. What's going on? Jinho asked. Where is everyone? Hyun laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. You didn't read the auction listing, did you? You just saw bankruptcy sale and came running. I need inventory, Jinho said defensively. What's the lot? 1 item, Hyun said. A dead ship. Not just any dead ship. A Vekthari dreadnought. Jinho felt his stomach drop. The Vekthari had been an ancient race, gone for thousands of years. Their ships were legendary. Massive things that could carry entire cities. They were also completely useless. Every Vekthari vessel ever found had been dead, drained of power, impossible to restart. Alien archaeologists loved them. Salvage dealers avoided them like poison. How dead? Jinho asked. Completely dead, Hyun said. Been floating in dead space for maybe 10,000 years. Some science team found it. Ran every scan they could think of. No power, no life support, no AI. It's just a giant metal tomb. They're selling it for scrap value. The auctioneer stepped onto the platform at the front of the hall. He was a thin alien with too many arms, each holding a different datapad. Gentlemen, he said in a bored voice that translated through Jinho's earpiece. Thank you for attending. As you know, we have 1 lot today. Vekthari vessel, designation unknown, approximately 2 kilometers in length, sold as is, scrap value only. The starting bid is 50,000 credits. 50,000 credits. Jinho's entire savings was 32,000. He started to stand up, ready to leave. This was a waste of time. Then Vorik stood up and left, just walked out without saying a word. One of the strangers followed, then the other. Jinho looked at Hyun. Hyun looked at the auctioneer. The auctioneer looked at his datapads, with a tired expression. Anyone, the auctioneer said. The towing fee alone is worth more than the starting bid. Something crazy happened in Jinho's brain. Maybe it was desperation. Maybe it was stupidity. Maybe he was just tired of being poor. He raised his hand. 30,000 credits, he said. The auctioneer's multiple eyes all focused on him. Sir, the starting bid is 50,000. I know, Jinho said. But nobody else is bidding. 30,000 is what I have. Take it or get nothing. Hyun grabbed his arm. Are you insane? He whispered. You can't afford the towing fees for a ship that size. The auctioneer's datapads beeped and chirped. He was probably checking if he could accept such a low bid. After a long moment, he sighed. Sold, he said, to the human with more courage than sense. Please settle your payment at the desk. Sold. I have to brucking this sether, all four. Jinho's hands shook as he transferred his credits. All of them. Every single one. He was now officially broke, and he owned a dead alien ship the size of a small moon. Hyun stood beside him, looking like he was watching his friend jump off a cliff. We need to at least look at it, Jinho said, before I completely panic. Too late for that, Hyun muttered. They took a station shuttle out to where the ship waited in deep space. When it came into view, Jinho forgot to breathe. The vessel was massive beyond anything he'd imagined. It hung in space like a sleeping giant. All smooth curves and strange angles. The hull was covered in crystal-like growths that caught the distant starlight and made the whole ship shimmer. It looked dead, yes, but it also looked beautiful. It's bigger in person, Hyun said quietly. They docked at one of the external airlocks. Jinho expected it to be sealed, or broken, or frozen shut. Instead, it opened smoothly at his touch. The door slid aside, without a sound. That's weird, Hyun said. Power's supposed to be completely dead. Maybe there's emergency reserves? Jinho suggested. They stepped inside. Jinho had explored dozens of dead ships in his career. They always smelled like decay, like things rotting in the dark. The air was always cold or completely gone. Dust covered everything. This ship was different. The air was fresh. The temperature was comfortable. The floors were clean, so clean they reflected the light from their helmet lamps. It was like the ship had been built yesterday and just never turned on. This is impossible, Hyun said. His voice echoed down the corridor. The scientists said this ship was dead for 10,000 years. There shouldn't even be atmosphere. They walked deeper into the ship. Yuna, the young navigator from the station who'd agreed to come along for a small fee, followed behind them. She kept taking readings with her scanner and frowning at the results. Gravity is working, she said. I'm reading 0.9 Earth standard. But there's no power source. My scanner says this ship is completely inert. The corridors seemed to go on forever. They passed rooms full of equipment they didn't recognize. Chambers that might have been living quarters. Halls that could have held thousands of people. Everything was pristine. Everything was silent. They found the central chamber by following the main corridor. It was a huge circular room with a domed ceiling that showed the stars above through some kind of transparent material. In the center of the room was a control panel, all smooth surfaces and soft curves, and on that panel, glowing faint blue in the darkness, was a handprint, a human handprint. Jinho walked toward it slowly. His footsteps echoed in the vast space. The handprint was exactly the right size for his hand. It pulsed with a soft light, like it was breathing. Don't touch it, Hyun warned. We don't know what it does. But Jinho was already reaching out. Something about the handprint called to him. It felt familiar, like coming home after a long journey. His fingers touched the surface. The ship woke up. Light flooded the chamber. Not harsh, but warm, like sunlight through clouds. The control panel hummed to life. The walls began to glow with running lights that traced patterns through the air. And everywhere, all around them, the sound of systems starting, engines warming up. Life returning to something that had been dead for 10,000 years. Yuna's scanner exploded with data. Hyun grabbed onto a railing as the floor vibrated beneath them. Jinho kept his hand on the panel, unable to move, unable to look away. A voice spoke. It came from everywhere and nowhere, soft and clear, and speaking perfect Korean. Welcome home, Jinho Park, the voice said. This vessel has waited a long time for you. Jinho couldn't move his hand from the panel. The glowing handprint seemed fused to his palm, warm but not burning. Around him, the ship continued to wake up. Lights ran along the walls like water flowing upward. The air itself seemed to hum with energy. Jinho, what did you do? Hyun's voice was high with panic. He clutched his scanner, which was beeping so fast it sounded like one continuous alarm. I don't know, Jinho said. His voice came out as a whisper. I just touched it. The voice spoke again, still in Korean. still impossibly calm. Please remain still while genetic verification completes. This will take approximately 10 seconds. Genetic what? Yuna moved closer. Her own scanner pointed at Jinho. The panel is scanning him. It's reading his DNA. A beam of soft blue light swept down from the ceiling, passing over Jinho's body from head to toe. He felt nothing, but his heart was racing. What had he done? What was this ship? The light faded. The handprint released his palm. Jinho stumbled backward, and Hyun caught him before he fell. Verification complete, the voice said. Welcome, Inheritor. I am Daezong, the governing intelligence of this vessel. It has been 11,743 years since the last authorized access. You are recognized as a genetic descendant of the founder line. Full system access is granted. The three humans stared at each other. None of them spoke for a long moment. Did it just say 11,000 years? Hyun finally asked. That's impossible, Yuna said. Humans only left Earth 500 years ago. There were no humans in space 11,000 years ago. Daesong, Jinho said, testing the name. Can you hear me? Yes, Inheritor, I can hear you clearly. What are you? What is this ship? I am the artificial intelligence governing the vessel designated Taeguk. This ship is an Ark-class carrier, designed and constructed by human engineers 11,912 years ago. Its purpose was to preserve human civilization during the Great Departure. Jinho felt dizzy. He sat down hard on the floor. That's not possible. Humans didn't have space travel back then. We were barely using stone tools. That is incorrect, Daesong said gently. Your current historical understanding is incomplete. Humanity achieved advanced spaceflight approximately 12,000 years before your present date. We spread across multiple galaxies. This vessel is one of many that were placed in stasis as part of a planned event. What event? Hyun demanded. What are you talking about? That information is restricted pending additional genetic authorization. I apologize for the limitation. 2. Yuna was looking at her scanner with wide eyes. The ship's power levels are rising. Fast. I'm reading energy output equal to a small star. And the structure, the molecular structure of the hull, it's repairing itself. Places that showed damage 10 minutes ago are now perfect. Jinho forced himself to stand. His legs felt weak, but he needed to understand. Daesong, why did you wake up when I touched the panel? You carry the genetic markers of the founder line. This vessel was programmed to activate only when contacted by someone with those specific markers. You are the first person in 11,000 years to meet that requirement. But I'm nobody, Jinho said. I'm a salvage dealer from a colony planet. My family came from Earth. We're not special. All humans on Earth carry fragments of the founder genetics, Daesong explained. But the complete marker sequence is rare. Approximately 1 in every 8 billion humans carries the full pattern. You are one of them. Hyun started laughing. It was an edge of panic laugh that made Jinho worried about his friend. So, you're telling me, Hyun said between gasps, that Jinho is some kind of chosen one? That this massive ship has been waiting in space for thousands of years just for him? Not specifically for him, Daesong corrected. For any genetic descendant of the founders. Jinho Park is simply the first to make contact. Alarms started blaring, not from the ship, but from their personal communicators. All three of them grabbed for their devices at once. The message was the same on each screen. Priority alert from Rimward Station. All ships report unusual energy signature from Vekthari vessel. Signature matches active warship profile. Council of Species has been notified. Do not approach. Oh no, Jinho said. Oh no, no, no. What's the Council of Species? Yuna asked. The government, Hyun said grimly. The one that rules all the known star systems. They have very strict rules about weapons and old technology. If they think this ship is active, they're going to come here. Fast. More messages appeared. These ones were public broadcasts, spreading across every communication network in range. Breaking. Ancient Vecthari dreadnought activates near Rimward Station. Human salvager reportedly on board. Council fleet dispatched to secure vessel. Alert. Unknown vessel shows power signature beyond any known technology. Council demands immediate surrender of ship and all occupants. Urgent. Council of Species declares human possession of ancient vessel a threat to galactic security. Warships en route. Jinho felt sick. He'd bought a dead ship for scrap. Now, apparently he'd activated some kind of super weapon, and the government of the entire galaxy was coming to take it away from him. Day says, "Can you show us what's inside this ship?" he asked. "I need to know what we're dealing with." "Of course, Inheritor." Displaying vessel schematic now, a holographic image appeared in the air above the control panel. It showed the entire ship in glowing blue lines. The Taegyuk was huge, with multiple decks and thousands of rooms, but what made Jinho's breath catch were the markers scattered throughout the display. "What are those?" He pointed at hundreds of small dots in the lower decks. "Stasis pods," Daezong said. "Each contains a human occupant in perfect preservation. Current count is 7,342 individuals. There are people on this ship?" Yuna's voice was barely a whisper. "Living people? In stasis, yes. They have been waiting, like this vessel, for activation." Hyun was looking at another section of the display. "These sections here, what are they?" "Weapons systems," Daesung said calmly. "The Taegyuk is equipped with defensive and offensive capabilities appropriate for an Arc-class vessel. Plasma projection arrays, quantum missiles, reality displacement shields, and singularity generators. It's a warship," Hyun said flatly. "You bought a warship." "I bought a dead Hulk," Jinho protested. "How was I supposed to know it would wake up?" Another alert came through, this one from the station administrator. The message was simple and terrifying. "Jinho Park, this is Administrator Vorath. The Council has given me direct orders. You have 24 hours to vacate the Vecthari vessel and surrender it to Council authority. If you do not comply, they will take it by force." "I'm sorry. I have no choice." Jinho looked at Hyun and Yuna. "What do I do?" "Give it to them," Hyun said immediately. "Jinho, you can't fight the Council. They have thousands of ships. If you try to keep this thing, they'll kill you." "But there are people on board," Yuna said. 7,000 people. "What happens to them if the Council takes the ship? Will they wake them up? Or will they just claim them as specimens to study?" That thought hadn't occurred to Jinho. He looked at the hologram, at all those tiny dots representing sleeping humans. People who had been waiting for thousands of years, people who were, somehow, his responsibility now. "Daesung," he said slowly, "if I wanted to leave this station, could this ship fly?" "The Taegyuk is fully operational," Daesung replied. "All systems are functioning at optimal capacity. Flight is possible." "How fast can we go?" "The vessel is equipped with instantaneous translocation drive technology. We can reach any point in this galaxy within minutes." Hyun grabbed Jinho's arm. "No. Don't even think about it. Running from the Council is suicide." Quote, "Staying here and letting them take the ship might be worse," Jinho said. "I need time to think. Time to figure out what this ship really is and why it was hidden." "The Council fleet will arrive in approximately 18 hours, Daesung informed them. "Current force estimate is 47 warships, including 3 Dreadnought-class vessels." "See?" Hyun said desperately. "You can't run from that." But Jinho was looking at the hologram again, at the weapon systems and the shields and all the technology that predated every civilization in known space. A crazy idea was forming in his mind. Daesung, could this ship defend itself against a Council fleet? The Taegyuk's defensive capabilities exceed the combined firepower of the approaching fleet by a factor of approximately 8,000 to 1. However, I must note that aggressive action against Council forces would result in significant political complications. "I'm not going to attack anyone," Jinho said. "But I'm not giving up this ship either. Not until I understand what it really is." He turned to Hyun and Yuna. I know this is crazy. If you want to leave, take the shuttle back to the station. I won't blame you. Hyun looked at him for a long moment, then sighed. You're an idiot. But you're my friend. If you're staying, I'm staying. Yuna nodded. I'm in too. Besides, I want to know the truth about this ship, about humans in space 12,000 years ago. My scanner says it's real, but my brain says it's impossible. I need to know which one is right. Jinho felt a rush of gratitude. He wasn't alone in this. Whatever happened next, at least he had help. Okay, he said. Daesung, we're going to need to see those archives. Everything you have about where this ship came from and why it was hidden. Understood, Inheritor. Prepare for information download. The hologram changed, filling with images and text and data that flowed past faster than Jinho could read. But one phrase stood out, repeating over and over in different languages. The Great Departure, the Great Departure, the Great Departure. Whatever had happened 12,000 years ago, whatever had made humans leave the galaxy and hide ships like this, Jinho had a feeling he was about to learn the truth, and that the truth was going to change everything. The hours passed too quickly. Jinho sat in the command center of the Taejuk, watching information flow across holographic screens he barely understood. Hyun worked at an engineering station, his face illuminated by soft blue light. Yuna had taken position at what Daesung called the navigation console, her hands moving over controls that responded to her touch like they'd been waiting for her. 15 hours until the council fleet arrives, Daesung announced calmly. Jinho rubbed his eyes. They'd been awake for almost a full day, reading through archives, trying to understand what they'd stumbled into. The story was incredible and terrible at the same time. 12,000 years ago, humans had been everywhere. They'd built cities on 1,000 worlds, crossed between galaxies, created technology that seemed like magic even now. They'd been the most advanced species in known space. And then they'd disappeared. It doesn't make sense, Hyun said for the 10th time. Why would they leave? If humans were so powerful, why give it all up? The archives say they were too successful, Yuna said quietly. She'd been reading something on her screen, her face troubled. Everywhere humans went, other species would copy them. Not just technology, but culture, thinking, everything. The galaxy was becoming human, even the non-human parts. The ancient humans thought they were destroying something important. Diversity, I think. The chance for other species to develop their own way. So they erased themselves? Jinho couldn't believe it. That seems extreme. They didn't erase themselves completely, Daesung corrected. They scattered. Some went to other galaxies beyond this one. Some placed themselves in stasis in ships like this one. Most returned to Earth, underwent genetic and technological regression, and began again as if they'd never left the planet. Our ancestors, Jinho said. They chose to forget. Yes, it was considered the greatest act of sacrifice in human history. The Council of Elders decided that humanity needed to earn the stars a second time. If humans could redevelop space travel naturally, without the benefit of ancient knowledge, then they would prove themselves worthy of their legacy. The stasis ships were left as insurance, programmed to wake only for verified genetic descendants. And I'm one of them, Jinho said. Lucky me. An alarm sounded. All 3 humans jumped. What is that? Hyun asked. Council fleet has arrived early, Daesung said. Current count is 47 vessels in attack formation. They are hailing us. Put it through, Jinho said, his throat dry. A holographic image appeared in the center of the command room. It showed an alien that Jinho didn't recognize. All sharp angles and crystalline skin that reflected light in strange patterns. The translator in his ear converted the alien's clicking speech into words. This is Fleet Commander Serex of the Council of Species. You are in possession of a Class A restricted vessel. By order of the Council, you will power down all systems and prepare to be boarded. You have 10 minutes to comply. Jinho stood up. His legs felt shaky. This is Jinho Park. This vessel belongs to me. I purchased it legally at auction. The auction was held under false pretenses, Sarek said coldly. The seller did not know the vessel was operational. A Class A vessel cannot be privately owned under any circumstances. It belongs to the Council. After the Sive was on Paybe. Under what law? Jinho demanded. I'm a human citizen. I don't answer to the Council. All spacefaring species answer to the Council, Sarek said. This has been established law for 8,000 years. Your ownership claim is void. Power down immediately, or we will board by force. The hologram disappeared. That went well, Hyun said weakly. Jinho looked at the tactical display that Daesung had brought up. It showed the Council fleet surrounding the Taegyuk in a perfect sphere. 47 ships, all of them armed, all of them pointing weapons at his vessel. Daesung, what are our options? He asked. Multiple choices exist, the AI replied. Option 1. Comply with Council demands and surrender the vessel. Option 2. Defend current position against the fleet. Option 3. Evacuate the area using the instantaneous translocation drive. If we fight them, people will die, Jinho said. Correct. However, the Taegyuk's shields are impervious to all weapons in the Council fleet. They cannot harm this vessel or its occupants. But we could harm them. Yes. Yuna spoke up from her station. What if we just leave, run away, and figure out what to do later? The Council will follow, Hyun pointed out. And they'll bring more ships. Eventually they'll wear us down. And what? Actually, Daesung said, the Taegyuk's energy reserves are sufficient for approximately 800 years of continuous operation. The Council lacks the resources for such an extended pursuit. A new alert sounded. The Council fleet was moving closer. 5 minutes until weapons range, Daesung announced. Jinho made a decision. Maybe it was the wrong one, but it was his to make. Yuna, get ready to jump us out of here. Daesung, plot a course away from inhabited space. Somewhere we can hide. And think. Coordinates calculated, Daesung said. Destination ready. Jinho, wait, Hyun said. If you run, you become a fugitive. The Council will never stop looking for you. I know, Jinho said. But I can't give them this ship. Not yet. Not until I understand what it really means. The tactical display showed the Council ships opening their weapons ports. 47 vessels, all preparing to fire. 1 minute until weapons range, Daesung said. Yuna, jump, Jinho ordered. She pressed her hands to the navigation console. The stars outside the viewing window blurred and stretched. For a moment, Jinho felt like he was being pulled in every direction at once. Then, the feeling passed. They were somewhere else. The tactical display showed empty space. No Council fleet. No stations. Just stars and darkness. Jump successful, Daesung reported. We are now 3,000 light-years from Rimward Station. Did they see us leave? Hyun asked. Yes. The Council fleet detected the jump signature. They will be able to track our departure vector but not our exact destination. So they know which direction we went, Jinho said. How long before they find us? At conventional faster-than-light speeds, approximately 6 days. However, the Council possesses limited long-range detection capabilities. If we continue to move, we can evade them indefinitely. Jinho sat down heavily. They'd done it. They'd escaped. But now what? His communicator buzzed. A text message, delayed, but finally reaching them through the quantum relay network. It was from Administrator Vorath. Jinho, what have you done? The Council is furious. They're calling you a thief and a terrorist. They've issued a galaxy-wide alert. Every species, every station, every ship is looking for you. Please, reconsider this. It's not too late to surrender. It might already be too late, Jinho muttered. For 3 days they ran. Every time Daesung detected a Council ship nearby, Yuna would jump them to a new location. They moved through empty space, asteroid fields, the outer reaches of dead solar systems, always moving, never staying anywhere long. Hyun spent his time in the engineering sections, learning how the ship worked. He came back to the command center with increasingly wild reports. "The power source is incredible," he said. "It's generating energy from quantum fluctuations in space itself. Free energy. Forever. And the engines, they don't move the ship through space. They move space around the ship." Yuna discovered something in the ship's database on the 4th day. "There's a location marked here," she said. "Coordinates deep in uncharted space. The file calls it the Sanctuary." "What's there?" Jinho asked. "It doesn't say. Just coordinates, and a single note. Return here when the time comes." Jinho looked at the coordinates. They were far from any known star system, deep in a region of space that no one had explored. "Daesong, do you know what's at the Sanctuary?" "I have limited information," the AI replied. The Sanctuary was established as a secure location by the founders. Multiple vessels and facilities were placed there. "I am programmed to guide inheritors to that location, but I do not have detailed specifications of what remains." "Could be a trap," Hyun warned. "Could be answers," Yuna countered. Jinho thought about it. They couldn't run forever. Eventually the council would find them. Or they'd make a mistake. Or something would go wrong. They needed to understand what this ship was, and why it existed. Maybe the Sanctuary held those answers. "Set course for the Sanctuary," he said. "Let's find out what the founders left behind." The jump took longer this time. Yuna worked carefully, making sure they wouldn't emerge inside a star or too close to a planet. When they finally arrived, all 3 humans gasped. The Sanctuary was hidden inside a nebula that didn't appear on any star charts. The nebula was massive, filled with glowing gas and newborn stars, and floating in the heart of it, Jinho saw ships. Hundreds of ships. Thousands of ships. All of them like the Taegyuk, massive and perfect and waiting in the darkness. They floated in precise formations, their hulls covered in those same crystal growths that caught the nebula's light and made them shine like jewels. "This is impossible," Hyun whispered. "This is a whole fleet." "Not just a fleet," Daesong said. "This is the primary reserve. One of 3 such locations established by the founders. Each vessel contains thousands of humans in stasis, along with complete archives of pre-departure human civilization." "How many people?" Jinho asked. His voice sounded strange in his own ears. "Current stasis count across all vessels in this location is approximately 4,700,000 individuals. 4 million people. 4 million humans who'd been asleep for 12,000 years, waiting for someone to wake them up." Jinho felt the weight of it settle on his shoulders. He'd thought buying a dead ship would solve his money problems. Instead, he'd stumbled into something enormous. Something that could change everything. And the council was still out there, hunting for them. "Daesong," he said slowly. "Is there anywhere in this fleet we can dock? I need to see more. I need to understand what this all means." "The flagship of this reserve is designed to receive visitors. I am transmitting docking coordinates now." They flew through the fleet, past ship after ship, until they reached one that dwarfed even the Taegyuk. It was so large that Jinho couldn't see both ends of it at once. The docking bay alone was bigger than most space stations he'd visited. As they landed, Jinho realized something. The council was coming. They would find this place eventually. And when they did, they would want to claim everything here. All these ships, all these people, all this technology. The question was, what would Jinho do about it? He stood up from his chair. "Come on," he said to Hyun and Yuna. "Let's go see what our ancestors left for us." The flagship was called the Mugunghwa. Daesong told them the name meant eternal flower in an old Earth language. Walking through its corridors felt like exploring a temple. Everything was pristine, untouched, waiting. They followed Daesong's directions to the central archive, located deep in the heart of the ship. The archive was a massive chamber, with walls covered in glowing symbols. In the center stood a pedestal similar to the one on the Taegyuk, but larger, with 3 handprints instead of 1. This archive requires multiple genetic authorizations, Daesung explained. The founders believed that important decisions should never be made by one person alone. All three of you must place your hands on the prints simultaneously. Jinho looked at Hyun and Yuna. Are you ready for this? Once we know the truth, we can't unknow it. I didn't come this far to turn back now, Yuna said. She was trying to sound brave, but Jinho could hear the fear in her voice. He felt it too. Let's do this, Hyun said. They placed their hands on the prints together. The symbols on the walls began to glow brighter, pulsing in rhythm with Jinho's heartbeat. Then, the entire room changed. Holograms appeared around them, so real that Jinho felt like he could reach out and touch them. They showed Earth, but not the Earth he knew. This Earth had cities that stretched into space, oceans that glowed with bioluminescent life, mountains that had been carved into works of art. And everywhere, humans. Billions of them. A voice began to speak. It wasn't Daesung this time. This voice was human, warm, and sad at the same time. If you are seeing this, then humanity has returned to the stars. We are glad. We hoped you would. The hologram shifted to show space, vast and beautiful. Ships moved between stars like fish in an ocean. Worlds teemed with life. We were successful beyond our dreams, the voice continued. Humanity spread across this galaxy and beyond. We met other species, young ones just learning to reach for the stars. We helped them. We shared our technology, our knowledge, our culture. We thought we were doing good. The scene changed again. Now Jinho saw alien cities. But they looked wrong. They were built in human styles, using human architecture. Aliens walked through streets that could have been on Earth. They wore clothes that looked human. They used human technology. We didn't understand what we were doing, the voice said. Every species we met began to change. They adopted our ways, our thinking, our entire civilization, not because we forced them, but because we were so successful that copying us seemed like the obvious choice. We were destroying their uniqueness without meaning to. Hyun made a small sound in his throat. They were erasing other cultures just by existing. The hologram showed meetings, arguments, debates, humans gathering in great halls, talking and shouting and crying. We realized the truth too late, the voice said. The galaxy was becoming human. Oh. The other species still existed, but they were becoming human in every way that mattered. Their art looked like human art. Their music sounded like human music. Their philosophy was based on human philosophy. We were creating a monoculture, a galaxy where only one way of thinking existed. And that terrified us. The scene changed to show a massive chamber filled with thousands of humans. They were voting, their choices displayed on enormous screens. The Council of Elders debated for 10 years. Some wanted to continue as we were, arguing that human culture spreading was natural and good. Others wanted to withdraw, to leave the galaxy to younger species. In the end, we chose a third path. We called it the Great Departure. Now the hologram showed ships being built, thousands of ships, including ones that looked like the Taegyuk. Humans working together, their faces determined. We decided to erase ourselves from the galaxy. Not through death, but through transformation. We would scatter, giving other species the chance to develop without our influence. Those who wished to explore new galaxies left through gates we built to other parts of the universe. Those who wanted to wait in case humanity was needed again entered stasis in these ships. The hologram showed Earth again. But now, the great cities were being taken apart. Technology was being buried. Humans were changing, becoming simpler. But most of us chose to return to Earth. We underwent genetic regression, technological dismantling, and memory erasure. We went back to our homeworld and began again, as if we had never left it. We hid our history, destroyed our records, and started over, because we believed that if humanity could develop space travel a second time, naturally and without shortcuts, then we would have earned our place among the stars. Tears were running down Yuna's face. Hyun had his hand over his mouth. Jinho felt numb, trying to process what he was hearing. "These ships are your inheritance," the voice continued. "Each one contains people, technology, and knowledge from the old human civilization. But they will not activate unless someone with founder genetics makes contact. We wanted to ensure that only humans who developed naturally, who earned their way back to space, would inherit this legacy." The hologram focused on the three of them now, somehow seeing them even though it was a recording. "If you are watching this, then congratulations. Humanity has returned. You have proven that our sacrifice was not in vain. Now you must decide what to do with this inheritance. Will you repeat our mistakes? Will you dominate the galaxy again? Or will you learn from our failure and find a better way?" The voice paused. When it spoke again, it sounded sad. "I am Ji-woo, the last speaker of the Council of Elders. I am your ancestor, the one who cast the final vote for the Great Departure. I will not tell you what to do. That choice must be yours. But I will give you one piece of advice. True power is not in what you can do, but in what you choose not to do. The measure of intelligence is not what you can build, but what you decide not to destroy." The hologram faded. The chamber returned to normal. Jinho, Hyun, and Yuna stood in silence, their hands still on the pedestal. 12,000 years, Hyun finally said. "They gave up everything for 12,000 years, just to give other species a chance. And it worked," Yuna said. "Look at the galaxy now. Thousands of species, each with their own culture, their own technology, their own way of thinking. The Council of Species, for all its flaws, represents real diversity. That wouldn't exist if ancient humans had stayed." Jinho thought about Ji-woo, his ancestor, casting a vote to erase his entire civilization. What kind of courage did that take? What kind of love for the future? "We need to tell people," he said. "The Council needs to know this. The galaxy needs to know what humans did. They'll want the ships," Hyun warned. "They'll want the technology." "Maybe," Jinho said. "But they should at least know the truth." They left the archive and returned to the Taejuk. Daesung had news waiting for them. "The Council fleet has located the sanctuary," the AI reported. "They are currently entering the nebula. Estimate arrival at our position in 2 hours." "How many ships?" Jinho asked. "Current count is 114 vessels. They have significantly reinforced their fleet." Jinho looked out the viewing window at the sleeping ships all around them. 4 million people in stasis. The last remnants of an ancient civilization that had sacrificed itself for the sake of diversity. And now the Council was coming to take it all. He made a decision. "Daesung, wake up the fleet." "Jinho, what are you doing?" Hyun asked. "I'm not going to fight them," Jinho said. "But I need them to understand what this is. What humans gave up. I need them to see." "Oh, waking the fleet will require significant power draw," Daesung warned. "The Council will detect it immediately." "Good," Jinho said. "I want them to see. Wake up every ship in this sanctuary. Make them shine." Acknowledged. Initiating fleet activation sequence. Light began to spread through the nebula. One by one, the sleeping ships woke up. Their hulls began to glow. Their engines hummed to life. Soon the entire sanctuary was illuminated. Thousands of vessels blazing with power. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "The Council fleet has detected the activation," Daesung reported. "They are accelerating toward our position. Fleet Commander Sarex is hailing us." "Put him through," Jinho said. The alien's holographic form appeared, and this time Sarex looked shocked. "What have you done? You have activated a war fleet." "This isn't a war fleet," Jinho said calmly. "This is a memorial. These ships are full of people who sacrificed everything so that your species and every other species in this galaxy could develop freely. They erased themselves so you could exist." "You're lying," Sarex said, but there was uncertainty in his voice. "I have proof," Jinho said. "I have complete archives explaining what humans did 12,000 years ago. I'm willing to share that information with the Council, all of it. But first, you need to listen to what I have to say. Sarex was silent for a long moment. The Council has authorized me to negotiate. What are your terms? No terms, Jinho said. I'm not asking for anything. I just want you to understand what you're looking at. Can you do that? Another pause. Then Sarex nodded slowly. I will listen. Jinho took a deep breath. Then let me tell you about the Great Departure and why humanity chose to forget. For 2 hours, Jinho spoke. He told Fleet Commander Sarex everything they'd learned. About ancient humanity spreading across the galaxies. About the slow realization that they were destroying cultural diversity. About the Great Departure and the choice to erase themselves from history. Daesong provided holographic evidence, showing records that couldn't be faked, genetic data that proved the timeline, archaeological evidence from a dozen worlds. Sarex listened in silence. His crystalline face was hard to read, but Jinho thought he saw something change in the alien's expression. Maybe doubt, maybe wonder. When Jinho finished, Sarex spoke quietly. If this is true, then everything we know about galactic history is wrong. Not wrong, Jinho said. Just incomplete. Humans were here before. We left so others could grow. Now we're back, but different. Smaller. Humbler. We had to earn our way to the stars a second time. And these ships? These people in stasis? What do you plan to do with them? Jinho had been thinking about that question for days. I don't know yet. But I know what I won't do. I won't use them as weapons. I won't claim dominance over the galaxy just because my ancestors built impressive technology. That would defeat the whole purpose of what they sacrificed. The Council will not simply take your word for this, Sarex said. They will want to verify your claims, study the ships, examine the archives. I understand, Jinho said. But I have a proposal. I am listening. Let the Council send scientists, archaeologists, historians. Let them examine everything. I'll give them complete access. But in exchange, I want something from the Council. Sarex's eyes narrowed. What do you want? I want these ships to become a school. A place where humans and aliens can study together. Where we can all learn from what ancient humanity did right and what they did wrong. I want this technology shared, but shared slowly, carefully, and only when species are ready for it. You would give away the greatest technological advantage in the galaxy? Sarex sounded disbelieving. I would prevent humanity from making the same mistakes our ancestors made, Jinho corrected. These ships exist because ancient humans were wise enough to know when to step back. I think we should honor that wisdom. There was a long pause. Jinho could almost hear Sarex thinking, weighing options, calculating risks. I need to consult with the Council leadership, Sarex finally said. This decision is beyond my authority. Do not leave this location. I will return with their answer. The hologram vanished. Hyun let out a breath he'd been holding. Do you think they'll agree? I don't know, Jinho said honestly. But it's the right thing to do, is it? Yuna asked quietly. Both men turned to look at her. She was staring out at the fleet of ships. Jinho, you could be the most powerful human who ever lived. You control technology that makes you invincible. You could demand anything, and you're offering to give it all away. The ancient humans were more powerful than me, Jinho said, and they gave it all away too. Maybe that's what being truly powerful means. Knowing when not to use your power. For 3 days they waited. The Council fleet maintained position at the edge of the nebula, neither attacking nor leaving. Jinho, Hyun, and Yuna explored more of the Mugunghwa, finding wonders around every corner. Gardens that still bloomed after 12,000 years, libraries filled with books written in 100 human languages, art galleries showcasing the best of ancient human culture. And everywhere, the stasis pods. Millions of people sleeping peacefully, waiting to wake up in a future they couldn't imagine. On the morning of the 4th day, Sarex returned. This time he wasn't alone. The hologram showed a chamber filled with alien representatives from dozens of species. The Council of Species itself. An elderly alien that looked like a floating jellyfish spoke first. I am Council Elder Vesh. We have reviewed your evidence. Jinho Park. We have consulted with our historians and scientists. Your claims appear to be legitimate. Jinho felt a wave of relief. They believed him. However, Vesh continued, the existence of this fleet raises serious questions about human intentions. Many council members fear that humans will use this technology to dominate the galaxy. As your ancestors did before. That's exactly what we're trying to prevent, Jinho said. We know, Vesh said. And that is why the council has reached a decision. We accept your proposal. With modifications. What modifications? Jinho asked carefully. These ships will become what you suggested. A school. Open to all species. However, the school will be jointly administered by humans and the council. No single species will have complete control over the technology or the knowledge contained here. That seems fair, Jinho said. Additionally, Vesh continued. We propose that humanity be granted a new status within galactic civilization. Not as conquerors or subjects, but as elder species. A classification reserved for those who have proven their wisdom through sacrifice rather than force. Hyun grabbed Jinho's arm. Did they just say what I think they said? The council recognizes what ancient humanity did, Vesh said. They gave up everything so that species like ours could develop freely. That is a greater gift than any technology. We believe modern humanity, having earned its way back to the stars naturally, deserves recognition for that achievement. But not everyone agrees, another voice said. A new alien appeared in the hologram. This one looking angry. I voted against this decision. Humans are dangerous. This entire situation proves it. One human accidentally activates an ancient warship and suddenly we're rewriting galactic history? It's madness. Ambassador Kreth represents a valid concern, Vesh said calmly. There are many in the council who share his fear. The final vote was close. 47 species in favor. 41 against. 12 abstaining. This decision is not unanimous. Jinho understood. He was getting what he asked for. But barely. Almost half the galaxy still didn't trust humans. I can work with that, he said. Fear can be overcome with time and patience. Thank you, Elder Vesh. The council has shown wisdom today. We will send teams to begin setting up the academy, Vesh said. Expect arrivals within the week. And Jinho Park, I have one question for you personally. Yes? These ships contain 4 million humans in stasis. What will you do with them? Will you wake them? Jinho had been wrestling with that question since he first learned those people existed. That's not my decision alone to make, he said. Those people went to sleep in one world and would wake up in another, 12,000 years later. Everything they knew would be gone. Everyone they loved would be dust. I think we need to be very careful about when and how we wake them. Maybe some will want to wake up. Maybe others will want to keep sleeping. But we should ask them, not decide for them. Vesh made a sound that the translator interpreted as approval. Wise words. You truly are an inheritor, Jinho Park. Your ancestors would be proud. The hologram faded. Silence filled the command center. Then Hyun started laughing. Not the panicked laughter from before, but genuine joy. We did it, he said. We actually did it. We found an ancient alien warship, ran from the entire galactic government, discovered humanity's secret history, and somehow turned it all into a school. How is any of that real? I'm still not sure it is, Yuna said, but she was smiling. 3 weeks ago I was navigating cargo ships between stations. Now I'm apparently part of some ancient human legacy. Quote, Jinho walked to the viewing window and looked out at the fleet. In the distance, he could see the council ships beginning to approach. Not as enemies now, but as partners. It was a small step, but it was a step forward. His communicator buzzed. A message from Administrator Vorath, who'd been silent since Jinho fled Rimward Station. The entire galaxy is talking about you. They're calling you the inheritor. The one who woke the ancient fleet. I thought you were crazy when you bought that ship. I was wrong. You might have just changed history. Congratulations. And please don't forget your friends when you're famous. Jinho smiled and typed back a response. I could never forget my friends. They're the reason any of this worked. Over the following weeks, the sanctuary transformed. Council ships arrived, but so did human vessels from colonies across the galaxy. Scientists, historians, students, all eager to study the ancient fleet. Slowly, carefully, they began exploring the ships and the technology, learning how it worked, understanding what ancient humanity had achieved. Jinho, Hyun, and Yuna became the first directors of what was officially named the Taejuk Academy. They worked with council representatives to create a curriculum that honored the past while looking toward the future. The goal wasn't to recreate ancient human civilization but to learn from it, to understand its triumphs and its mistakes. They decided to wake 100 people from stasis as a test. The waking process took weeks, bringing them slowly out of their long sleep. When the first ancient human opened her eyes and asked where she was, Jinho was there to explain. Her name was Minji. She had gone to sleep expecting to wake up in 100 years, maybe 200, learning that 12,000 years had passed, that her entire civilization had deliberately erased itself, that she was now one of the last living witnesses to ancient humanity. It was almost too much for her to process, but she adjusted. They all did. The ancient humans were resilient, and they understood better than anyone why the great departure had been necessary. Many chose to help with the academy, teaching what they remembered about their lost civilization. 6 months after Jinho first touched that glowing handprint, he stood on an observation deck, watching the academy's first graduating class receive their certificates. The students were a mix of species, humans and aliens, learning together, sharing knowledge, building something new. Daezong's voice spoke softly beside him. You have done well, inheritor. The founders would approve. I'm not an inheritor, Jinho said. I'm just a salvage dealer who got lucky. You are more than that, Daezong said. You made choices that few humans would have made. You chose wisdom over power, sharing over hoarding, patience over dominance. That is why the Taejuk chose you, not because of your genetics, but because of who you are. Jinho thought about Jiwoo, his ancient ancestor, casting that final vote to erase human civilization. He thought about all the humans who had sacrificed everything they'd built so that other species could grow. And he thought about the choice he'd made, to honor that sacrifice instead of exploiting it. The measure of intelligence isn't what you can build, he said quietly, remembering Jiwoo's words. It's what you choose not to destroy. Abdenifried. The Gidden you can center. Abdenifried. Abdenifried. Exactly, Daesong agreed. And today, watching these students graduate, I see hope. Hope that this time, humanity will get it right. Not through dominance, but through cooperation. Not through conquest, but through wisdom. Yuna and Hyun joined him on the observation deck. They stood together, the three humans who had stumbled into history and somehow managed not to break it. What do you think happens next? Yuna asked. Jinho looked out at the ships, at the students, at the future they were all building together. I think we keep learning. Keep growing. Keep making sure that what ancient humanity sacrificed wasn't wasted. We're here to help, not to rule, to teach, not to dominate. To remember that true greatness means knowing when to step back. That's a lot of responsibility, Hyun said. Yes, Jinho agreed. But we're not alone. We have help, we have allies, and we have 12,000 years of history teaching us what not to do. That's more than most people get. He turned away from the window and smiled at his friends. Come on. We have work to do. The second class starts next month, and I heard they're bringing students from the outer rim. We need to be ready. As they walked away, the Taegyuk hummed softly around them, its ancient systems maintaining the ship, as they had for 12 millennia. In the viewing window, the stars shone bright, calling out to all the species of the galaxy. Humanity had risen once, fallen by choice, and risen again. This time, they would do it right. This time, they would remember that the greatest power wasn't in what you could do, but in what you chose not to do. This time, they would be worthy of their inheritance. And somewhere in the vast archives of the Mugunghwa, in a recording that would play for any inheritor who found it, Jiwoo's voice spoke one final message. To whoever hears this, know that we loved you. We loved you enough to erase ourselves, so you could exist. We hope you will do better than we did. We hope you will find a way to be powerful without being overwhelming, to be wise without being arrogant, to be human without making everything else human too. That is our gift to you. Use it well. Make us proud.